Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing a full vocal analysis as well as some musical analysis of Chop Suey by SystemOfADown. This is a crazy song, and I haven't heard it in a long time, but I did used to listen to this song years back, especially in the gym. So I'm excited to dive back into this. Yeah guys, this is a reaction and analysis, so I will be pausing to talk primarily about vocal technique used by this lead singer and other musical elements as well. But my goal is really to entertain while educating and help you guys understand and appreciate these amazing artists more and more. So please do leave a like, leave a comment, subscription, hit the bell, all that good stuff, and let's get into it. I love this build up throughout this introduction. We start out with just acoustic guitar, in G minor, just acoustic guitar, and then we add one drum hit, and then some electric guitar comes in, and then officially the drums kind of come in like about 15-20 seconds into the song. But starts off pretty bare here with just acoustic guitar. Also worth mentioning, I have never seen the music video for this. Sweet guitar in the right ear. Just before we get into it, and then it's cool, the drums are really, they're not hitting any cymbals really, no hi-hat, snare. It's pretty much all kick drum and these toms, these pitched tom drums. And bass guitar also comes in towards the end of this introduction. It's amazing. I didn't actually realize or remember how long it takes for the vocalist to come in. Still, that's right. Now he's about to come in. So before our singer Serge comes in, just crazy how different that vibe is in the second part of what I would still call the introduction, right? Where it's still before our lead singer comes in. Just a totally different vibe. You know, we have this like pretty chill introduction, gets a little more intense with the drums, and then we have just totally changes the vibe. And we'll get into the singing here in a second. It's just so iconic. It's just such a unique sound and approach to the vocal line. I love the whispers that come in between lines. I loved, because I haven't seen the video, I loved with the weird editing they were doing with the video, or it's like multiple of him there. You know, one's whispering, one's rapping, singing, whatever you want to call it. Really, really interesting. He's going back and forth between pretty clean vocals here and pretty harsh vocals as well. Usually there's a little bit of grit in his sound, but it's amazing. This when he does sing cleanly. It is such a pure, efficient tone. It's got great cut. There's just very good vocal fold efficiency in his sound. And then when the grit comes in, of course, you lose some of that efficiency because grit inherently has more air in the sound. But it's such a different color and a different timbre. And we really do get a great contrast. And something about this guy is he really goes back and forth between the harsh vocals and the clean vocals very quickly, very seamlessly, and really uses it in a way that enhances the text that he's singing.
Wake up! Wake up!
So Wake Up was pretty clean, right? Pretty clean vocals.
Wake up! Wake up! Put a little makeup.
And there's a little grit in that next line, a little grit in the next line.
Wake up! Wake up! Put a little makeup.
Makeup clean.
Why'd you leave the keys up on the table? Here you go, create another table. You wanted to.
And then You Wanted To is when we get the first time of like full harsh vocals, full grit in the sound. Until then, it's kind of towing the line between clean vocals with just a little bit of grit coming in and out. You Wanted To. That's the first time we really get full grit in the sound.
Why'd you leave the keys up on the table? Here you go, create another table. You wanted to. Grab a brush and put a little makeup. You wanted to. Undiscuss the fade away the shake up. You wanted to. Why'd you leave the keys up on the table? You wanted to. Why don't think you trust in my self-righteous suicide?
Right, so now totally, now it's almost feels like a ballad, and the vocals have gone from the harsh vocals, the gritty stuff, to totally clean, like kind of a beautiful sound, really, and a very, very efficient for the most part. He does relax the vocal fold closure a little bit, allowing a little more breath to come through. But no, Serge, it's cool. He really goes back and forth and has so much control over how much grit he wants to use while singing.
You wanted to. Undiscuss the fade away the shake up. You wanted to. Why'd you leave the keys up on the table? You wanted to. Why don't think you trust?
Like, that's a very efficient, pure, you can tell it's pretty forward placed. I don't think I try. It's like pretty forward, right? That was very classic of this genre in this time period, this era when it came out, was that more kind of really good vocal fold closure, but very more kind of like bright, forward sound. I don't think, kind of like there's like a little whine to it almost. But just a really nice, healthy sound, which it's so funny. You don't always expect these gritty singers to be able to do that, but often they can. Often these gritty singers can really sing cleanly if they want to, and then go into the grit, because it really is a technique you develop.
Here you go, create another table. You wanted to. Grab a brush and put a little makeup. You wanted to. Undiscuss the fade away the shake up. You wanted to. Why'd you leave the keys up on the table? You wanted to. Why don't think you trust in my self-righteous suicide?
And then just totally different vibe from the drums, from the guitars, from the arrangement itself, from the entire operation. It goes from pretty heavy to, like I said a minute ago, this kind of light ballad feel. These guitars like instead of like da 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 da. So just like a totally different vibe. I love the switch.
Why don't think you trust in my self-righteous suicide?
A little bit of harmony coming.
I cry when angels deserve to die.
Legendary.
Wake up! Wake up!
Yeah. So all right. So now we like the full-on harsh vocal belt, harsh vocal scream, right? And I love he doesn't really telegraph that that's coming. It's just a little bit. Angels deserve to die, and then he like really turns it up to 10 in that moment. I just so iconic. I think part of these really like jagged, abrupt switches in the music and vocal technique and arrangement is part of what has served to make this song so memorable and so iconic. Over 1 billion views on YouTube, surely more on streaming. Just amazing and just unforgettable, I think is a word to describe this song.
angels deserve to die.
You just get a slight revving up of like the instrumentation and just a little bit more edge to his voice leading into it. But it goes from like 3 to 10. I wouldn't say it goes from 0 to 10, but it goes from like 3 to 10.
When angels deserve to die.
And so that's a G4, a tenor high G. There it is. With full on grit. So I was just interested, and what I've said before is when you have grit in the sound, and especially when you have false fold activation, it doesn't sound nearly as high as it is. It sounds very intense, but it doesn't sound high, and that's because that gritty phonation, especially the false fold phonation, does add undertones to the sound, and so you are literally hearing lower, essentially, than what the kind of pure phonation is happening at the true vocal folds. So it's very interesting. So often you'll hear these amazing gritty rock singers, and even when they're singing really high, it still has this kind of like husky, heavy feel to it. That's why. That's the main reason why. And it kind of sounds lower than it is. So he's belting. I mean, G4 is very high. That is a very high note to belt, and he's smashing it in this gritty style. Let's go back so you can hear that actually.
When angels deserve to
Maybe a C sharp. That's really hard to pitch because that's more edging towards like a screamo sound. This is very likely done in his head voice. And it's like mostly air. I haven't really practiced that one much. I'd be interested to practice that. I've been working more on the false fold stuff lately in my own singing journey. But this one that's really high is probably done more like a mixed belt, and it is much more breathy in nature. So it's a little bit harder to pitch because when there's a lot of breath, it means there's a lot of noise. Noise is the actual term used for non-periodic sound waves. So you have tone, doop, and then you have noise, and those kind of screamo, more leaning towards screamo belts have more noise than tone. So sometimes it's difficult to pitch because noise objectively does not have tone.
wake up, grab my shit.
Well, let's hear this scream again.
Wake up, grab my shit, put a little makeup. I just got to fade away. Why'd you leave the keys upon the table? Here you go, create another fable. You want?
Yeah, this song is just so jagged. It's like on and then off, and then on and then off. It's like very binary. It's like when he's doing the rap thing, the drums are like, and the guitars are like, da 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 da, and it's all happening at once, and then they all stop together, and then they all start together, and then they all stop together, and it makes for this really interesting, just like jagged feel. Like there's no flow. The only flow is happening during that ballad section. Da 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 dee da dum. This is like da 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 da. Just so it's like two different songs. Really, it's like two completely different songs.
Wake up, grab my shit, put a little makeup. I just got to fade away. Why'd you leave the keys upon the table? Here you go, create another fable. You wanted to grab a brush and put a little makeup. You wanted to. I just got to fade away the shake up. You wanted to. Why'd you leave the keys upon the table? You wanted to. Well, I don't think you trust.
You hear that whine? Oh, I don't think you trust. Why? He even like literally almost says whine in the start of it. Oh, I don't. Well, I don't. So that second verse, I was just pointing out some things in the arrangement, but vocally very similar to the first verse, right? He's still doing that kind of in and out of clean and harsh vocals for much of it. We don't get the full harsh vocals until you wanted to. The rest of the time, it's kind of operating between clean and like a little bit of grit. But arrangement-wise, second verse very similar to the first verse as well.
Here you go, create another fable. You wanted to grab a brush and put a little makeup. You wanted to. I just got to fade away the shake up. You wanted to. Why'd you leave the keys upon the table?
There may be an added element. Wasn't paying attention to the deep background instrumentation in the first part, but there's a just sustaining during the second part of the verse. I don't know if that's there in the first one, but I just noticed it here.
Brush your butt a little makeup. You wanted to. Up on the table. He created another fable. You wanted to. Grab a brush your butt a little makeup. You wanted to.
Hear that? Hear that drone?
You wanted to. Why'd you leave the kids up on the table? You wanted to. Well, I don't think you trust
Why?
in my self-righteous suicide. I cry when angels deserve to die.
Oh, that's right. That's right. They hold off on the full grit belt this time. They have like an added section here.
When angels deserve.
Because it looks like he's revving up here, right? It looks like this guy's revving up to rip it, but then it like the section repeats.
I cry when angels deserve to die.
But the drums do pick up a little bit. We get a little bit of added instrumentation, so they're adding. They are adding. They're just not going to this section. They're not going to the moment we kind of anticipated.
To die in my self-righteous suicide.
Little riff. Serge is known for he does some of those little turns, those little quick riffs there. You hear that?
Righteous suicide. I cry when angels.
And that's probably the breathiest we've heard him. At the his vocal folds really come together well and efficiently. So it's rare that we hear like a true breathy tone where there's intentionally allowing a lot more air to come through the sound like this. Instead of like this, there's more air. And it's just right at the end of this phrase, the end of this ballad phrase. Cry, cry. It like almost goes to a whisper at the end.
I cry when angels deserve to die.
Oh, that's right. I see. I haven't heard this song in a while. I forgot how it's structured. So totally like antithetical approach to this "angels deserve to die" line here, where angels deserve to die instead of die. Radically different, and love it. You know, keeps it interesting, shows us contrast both musically and vocally. Just a ton. Like, you can't really have more contrast than a full out gritty, belty yell, essentially, and a really breathy, soft tone, intimate tone.
I cry when angels deserve to die.
Oh, that's crazy. I actually never noticed it was both of them doing this really heavy yell, gritty belt back and forth. And you can tell our lead singer here, Serge, has a little bit more, stability in his voice. You can hear this second member. I actually don't know the names of all the members of this band. Come in, and there's just less. It's more like he's just like ripping it, just like really just kind of yelling. And Serge is like yelling with intention, just like a more well-trained voice, I would assume. See, there's just such consistency in Serge's tone, right? Even in this really harsh singing, there's so much consistency. Like, this whole section here, after this bit, is very clean vocals. Just like really high vocal fold efficiency. There's barely any air. There's also barely any grit. coming through the sound. It's amazing when I'm noticing now, when you break it down, how much vocal color contrast there is moment to moment in this song. You just don't think about that when you're just listening casually, but he goes from super soft, breathy, intimate to full-on gritty rock belting to like this very efficient, kind of beautiful, more ballad-like singing. Groove. And he puts a little grit on certain words, but for the most part, it's very clean.
Why have you forsaken me? In your eyes, forsaken me. In your thoughts, forsaken me. In your heart, forsaken me.
This looks so 90s. I love this part, and I love this little riff he puts in. Really clean riff, and also these harmonies just slap. Like this chord progression during this section is just, it's so good.
Trust in my self-righteous suicide.
Self-righteous suicide. So, okay, goddamn. B flat 4 and C5, up to tenor high C for this second vocalist, who is it the bass player? Self-righteous suicide, up to a tenor high C, and it sounded pretty chesty, actually.
Self-righteous suicide.
That's a belt. That's a high C belt. Count it. That's dope.
Self-righteous suicide. I cry when angels deserve to die.
Another. So this section, normally when we've gotten to this text, angels deserve to die. We each time we've arrived at that text, the song has been doing something different. So it's really not very repetitive. It's really only like the first verse and second verse that sound really similar, but they've done so many changes coming towards the end of this song, which again, I just didn't realize. It's so cool to go back and analyze this shit, and you're like, wow, there's a lot more going on. I already loved it. Now I love it even more. That's the goal, by the way, of this channel. Hopefully you love this song even more now than you did 23 minutes ago.
When angels deserve to die, in my self-righteous suicide, why cry when angels deserve to die?
Nice drone synth bass leading us out. Yeah, I just love how this song finishes, and they change how they're performing the text. They're just changing the vibe all the while, and then we get this nice kind of release at the end of the song. Self-righteous suicide. Just sends us off. Let's listen to this last bit again.
I cry when angels deserve to die, in my self-righteous suicide. Why cry when angels deserve to die?
Yeah, dude. So sick. Fun that I got to come back to System of a Down. If you guys want to hear more, please leave a comment below. So far, I've just done Toxicity and Chop Suey. So tons of songs left by this awesome, iconic band. Hopefully you guys learned something. If you did, please consider joining my Patreon for as little as $1 a month. Or otherwise, please do leave a like and comment for the algorithm, and subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the bell. And hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you learned something. I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.